Hey everyone, Tony here. As you can tell by the title of the video that you clicked on, we are talking Resident Evil. More specifically, we are talking about the RE games that came out on the Nintendo Switch recently. Capcom was kind enough to send us the games to show off to you guys here today. Now, I greatly thank them for being so kind and sending us these codes, but I also want to let you know that all of what I am going to say is of my own words and experience. So come on along and let's get right into it. The Resident Evil franchise has been around for over 20 years. And in that time, it has stayed in the limelight, whether it's from books, comics, movies, toys, or the fans themselves. They've never actually faded away or have been ever forgotten about. Capcom has ported many of its titles to various different consoles over the years. Hell, we've gotten some on various handhelds as well. Much like the Revelation series, Resident Evil Origins and RE4 have been given the port treatment and now have ended up on Nintendo's hybrid handheld console. First off, let's talk about Resident Evil 0 Remastered, which in my opinion is the weakest of the three on here. Resident Evil 0, as we all know, came out on the N64, or was supposed to, but it was cancelled and then made onto the Nintendo GameCube back in 2002. And since its debut, the game has gone on to receive mixed reviews from fans and critics over the years. Personally, I like RE0. I think it had a lot to offer back in the day that people don't give it enough credit for, or may mistake as something that's very annoying, such as not having boxes wherever you go, and maybe a partner that follows you and just wastes ammo. It was inventive for its time, and I give it credit for that. But the big problem that I have for this game, which actually carries over to the rest of the games on this list, is the controls. Now, they're not terrible by any means. They actually are pretty awesome. They do very well when you play on the Nintendo GameCube controller, because I have the adapter for Super Smash Bros. To do so. It works just like you're playing back on the GameCube, and that was my preferred way to play through this game. The Pro Controller, not too bad. I was actually a little bit worried at first when using the Pro Controller, because I thought that because it was vastly different from the Nintendo GameCube controller, I wasn't going to be able to do it that well, but it actually works out very well, and if you don't have a GameCube controller, I suggest buying a Pro Controller for this. Now, we get into the Joy-Con parts. The Joy-Cons, unfortunately, they don't work well. When I play this in its off-dock mode, when I'm playing it in handheld mode, it just really doesn't work that well for me. The controls are really tough, they're hard to get used to, and I did play a lot of it on handheld mode, but it just wasn't working for me. Now, obviously, you can go into the controls and you can change them up, so you're not playing in the old tank-style controls. It's a new style that makes the thing a lot easier. But unfortunately, because I feel of how the Joy-Cons were designed and how close they are to other buttons, it just felt more difficult to play with those, so playing it in the undocked version on this was tough. The other thing I had that was a big problem with this is the loading times between the doorways. Anytime you leave a room, go through a door, anything like that, you have severe problems with the loading times.
Alright, let's do this. Okay.
Now, they're not super terrible, but the problem is, it is going to get on people's nerves. I mean, I don't see anybody speedrunning on Resident Evil 0's Switch. I don't see that happening at all, but it is kind of annoying because you know when you have to get somewhere fast, like your partner's in trouble, or you know that there's just going to be a crap ton of zombies on the other side, or other infected T-virus monsters, and you get too laxed, it could cost you some damage, and again, it's not bad, but it did get on my nerves once in a while. At the end of the day, Resident Evil 0 is still fun. Offers you multiple outfits, a different playstyle than other Resident Evil games that came before it, and it has stuff to unlock, which is also fun. It may not be the best Resident Evil, but it was still fun to play through here on the Switch. Now, Resident Evil Remastered is a game I couldn't believe was coming out back in the day. I saw the advertisements in magazines, I saw them on TV, which really blew my mind. It was definitely one of my most top-played GameCube games back in my youth, and I always enjoyed it coming back, especially when it was announced for the PS3 and PS4. and I have a lot of love for this game and praise Capcom for continuously bringing it back. The game looks just as beautiful in my opinion as it did on past consoles and plays pretty much, well, like it's supposed to. The GameCube control works fantastic. The Pro controller, it's really good. It works just as well as the GameCube one. Unfortunately, much like in RE0, the Joy-Cons are just a really rough way to play this, and when you're playing it in the handheld mode, it's still just as rough. Thankfully, you can switch the controls like with RE0, so you don't have to fight it, and it makes the game pretty damn enjoyable. Honestly, that's all that's really wrong with Resident Evil Remastered in my mind. It runs pretty damn smoothly, it looks beautiful. I personally love everything about this game, so maybe I'm a little bit biased, but I also try to find the bad and the good, or at least what I see when I play. And at the end of the day, this is a solid port. There is a lot to unlock in this game. There is a lot of reasons why you should be playing it over and over and over and never getting bored of it. There is multiple different things that can happen. This is definitely a game I am glad that is on the Switch because I thoroughly enjoyed playing through it as much as I did for this review. Now, Resident Evil 4. This is the one that I seem to have the most issues with, but RE4 came out back on the Nintendo GameCube and blew fans and critics away, even though some fans were a bit divided on the new look and feel and departure from the survival horror we've known for many years with titles such as Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, Code Veronica, Remake, and 0. But honestly, the game still looks good. Probably not going to look as great as if you run it on a PC or PlayStation 4, but in that department, it still looks pretty good. But the main issue with this is the actual controls. And I'm not just talking about for certain like feels or anything like that, but it's more along the lines of the actual controllers. I couldn't get the GameCube controllers to work on this. Now, maybe they weren't made to work with it, but I couldn't get them to work. That's the best way to put it. I tried plugging in a couple other ones. They wouldn't read all the commands properly. I even put it in a Wavebird, and those didn't work at all. Now, the Pro controller, that worked perfect. Small delay though when you're trying to target enemies and shoot them. I noticed that with the right stick, but not that big of a deal. But if you play fighting games like I do, you tend to notice these things pretty easily. But the biggest issue for me was the fact that there was going to be no motion controls for this game, even though the Joy-Cons actually have gyros in them and stuff to do sensory like that. Maybe I don't know the tech that well, but I think that would have been a really good selling point for this game at home, is if you could play with the Joy-Cons like you could with the Wii controllers back on the Nintendo Wii, which was like the big selling point back in the day for this game. Unfortunately, it just didn't work that well for me. And in the handheld mode, the Joy-Cons, everything about it just did not seem to work that well. I didn't really enjoy playing this game that much at all on its handheld mode, but going through with the Pro controller, I still enjoyed it. But if you can get around all that and adjust to it, which again, it's really hard with how the controls are shaped and the shoulder buttons on top. If you can get around all that, it's still a good fun game to play, but one that you might not be willing to drop $30 on. Other than that, there's still a lot to love about Resident Evil 4. The story, the characters, the unlockables, because they're all in here, plus the Mercenaries mode, Assignment Ada, Separate Ways, all those great things that you know and love are present in this game. So if you like those things, and controls don't bother you in any kind of way, then that might be the game that you want to pick up most out of all of these. So at this point, it's mainly just control issues, some loading times, and a slight graphical issue for this collection. But the big T-Virus infected elephant in the room is the price. The Origins collection on the Nintendo Switch comes with just 2 games, one of which is physically on the cart, but the other is a digital download only. And the bundle is $60. If you want to get the RE4 game, you're going to have to pay a whopping $30 for this game. So in the end, given that these games are cheaper on consoles and PC with tons of sales, want to still buy this game for the Switch, I would say wait for the inevitable sales to come for this or support them on the other consoles. The only way I can actually say that this might be worth buying is if you've never really played these games before. Maybe you played them at a friend's house, maybe you used to own them but want to get back into them, and you travel a lot, and this would be a perfect game to travel with, because honestly, these 3 games, if I brought these on a trip with me, whether it's into the city or to photo shoots or I'm traveling, that is what would be fun to play for me, because there's so many hours of entertainment on there. But if you've already bought these a million times over, just might not be the game for you to get now. But I want to know your thoughts. Have you guys played the Switch versions yet? Thinking about getting it? Let us know if this review helped you and what you think of the titles here on the Switch, and let us know if we missed anything or if you had any specific situations with this game while playing it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe because it's free, and in this day and age, free's a damn good thing. Also, don't forget to hit that bell when new content of ours comes out and you'll get notified. The Residents of Evil is a Patreon-supported channel. If you want to see your name here in the videos like these fans here, please head on over to patreon.com/ROE Network to check it out. As always, everybody, thank you for watching. With that being said, my name's Tony, and I'll see y'all back here at the Residents of Evil.